The RG28XX is the smallest handheld in Anbernic's XX lineup. Similar in size to the original Miyoo Mini, the RG28XX offers an impressive range of emulation power with incredible portability. But does it offer enough to stand out from the rest of the Anbernic XX competition, or is it overshadowed by its bigger siblings? I've been using the RG28XX exclusively as my #1 console for the past week to answer these questions, and this is what happened. The start of the RG28XX week-long challenge perfectly lined up with the start of our summer holiday abroad. Whenever it comes to this time of year, I always struggle to decide which handheld to take. Some of the more powerful choices like the Steam Deck offer great gaming options, but are not great when it comes to portability beyond the flight. Most times I'll end up with a Retroid or Anbernic console in my bag throughout the holiday that I never end up using. Because even though these are the more pocketable options, they can still feel a bit too big or fragile to carry around constantly in my pocket or in a beach bag. However, this time round my decision was already made. The RG28XX would be my gaming companion for the week while I was away. Instantly, this felt like a good choice, as I was able to just slip the 28XX straight into my pocket without even noticing it was there. Furthermore, the size and design felt comfortable enough that I didn't feel like it was going to slip out whenever I sat down. This is the thing I really like about the 28XX design. It has a similar 2.8-inch screen to the original Miyoo Mini, a screen size that I feel is great for being pocketable but still being able to provide immersion for PS1, Dreamcast and N64 games. The thing I like better about the 28XX though over the Miyoo Mini is the horizontal form factor. It feels more comfortable to hold, but also the overall narrower and slightly longer shape makes it a perfect fit for pockets and small travel bags. To date, I don't think I've come across a console that feels more pocket friendly without being too small to play comfortably. With the RG28XX being a Linux console, it means that you don't have access to the internet like you do on Android consoles. Therefore, I had to make sure that I had all the games loaded that I would want to play while on holiday. To be honest, the 28XX already comes packed with a bunch of great games, so there were only a couple I wanted to add. Mostly Everybody's Golf on the PS1 and some Game Boy Advance Mario games. Doing this is as easy as it is on any XX console, just a case of popping the SD card into a computer and loading your ROMs. It's nice to see that, as with the RG35XX SP, Anbernic are now putting more decent SD cards into their consoles to avoid the all too common SD card failures of the past. With the RG28XX all loaded up and ready to go, it was time to truly put its pocketability to the test. I always have grand plans of getting some game time in at the airport, but never find a moment between all the check-in faff, sorting the kids out and constantly keeping an eye on the boarding info. However, after getting through check-in and finally getting a chance to sit down, I was able to slip the RG28XX straight out of my pocket and jump into some Mario Golf Advance Tour. Having already loaded the game up before I left the house and putting the 28XX into sleep mode by tapping the power button, I was glad to see the sleep mode still doing its job well and jumping me straight back into where I'd left off. Being able to use sleep mode so easily and slide the 28XX into my pocket with such ease meant that getting game time in, even in those small moments of downtime, was not only possible but also really enjoyable. Our flight was just over 4 hours long, with an hour bus transfer straight after, and the RG28XX came in so handy. Being able to quickly slide it in and out of my pocket and get some quick game times in between watching episodes of Jujutsu Kaisen and entertaining the kids was pocket gaming bliss. My choice of games on the journey were Mario Golf Advance Tour and Virtual Tennis on the Dreamcast. You'd think that with the 28XX only having a 2.8-inch screen means that playing Dreamcast games on it might be a bit of a stretch, but honestly, it's not. Dreamcast games feel so natural to play on the 28XX. They run brilliantly, the controls are great, and the screen somehow feels so much bigger than it is. I guess it's down to the visual quality of the screen. Not having analog triggers does mean you lose some of the experience in some Dreamcast games, but not that much. And let's be honest, with a device this small, things like analog triggers are pretty much impossible. A small price for the pocketability in my eyes. Over the next few days, the RG28XX performed brilliantly, even in scenarios where I'd normally not be comfortable with a handheld console. Taking it to the pool was a breeze. The compact size of the RG28XX made it easy to slip into my son's Pokemon waist bag and easy to grab while chilling on the Sun Lounger. Taking it out of my pocket at evenings was just as easy, and with it being so discreet, it didn't look like I was being antisocial and just playing video games. The blazing heat on holiday, which was up to 42 degrees Celsius some days, didn't cause any issues either. The RG28XX never showed any signs of overheating. The screen performed pretty well as well in direct sunlight. It was definitely not as bright as something like a smartphone, but it did the job well enough to keep me playing. The solid build quality also gave me the confidence to just throw the 28XX into my pocket wherever I went without any worries of it breaking, even if I did drop it. Honestly, from a physical design standpoint, the RG28XX is perfect when it comes to pocketability, ticking every box I want for a carefree on-the-go handheld with great emulation options. When it comes to the games, we kind of know what to expect from XX consoles now. A great selection of retro consoles, including up to the PS1, N64, Dreamcast and PSP. Like with all XX consoles, the PSP is a bit of a stretch for the RG28XX. However, all the 8-bit and 16-bit consoles are brilliant. But my favourite to play on the RG28XX is definitely the Game Boy Advance, PS1 and Dreamcast. It's also great to dip into some more obscure consoles as well, like the Virtual Boy or the Poke Mini. Another standard for XX consoles that appears on the 28XX is the option of Game Room emulators or the equivalent RetroArch emulators. Most of the time you're better off using RetroArch options. However, I did come across an issue when trying to play Gran Turismo in RetroArch. It would freeze on the loading screen, but jumping over to the Game Room PS1 emulator sorted this out. And this is what's great about the XX lineup. It gives you multiple options to make sure you get the best chance at solid emulation. I knew that the RG28XX would be a fun console to take on holiday with me, but it actually blew away my expectations. It wasn't just a case of being easier to use than the alternatives. It was a truly enjoyable console to have on me at all times. An essential pocket partner that I was excited to take with me everywhere. Whether I found just 5 minutes to play or a solid hour, the RG28XX felt great in all scenarios. The 28XX is such a great pocket console that it actually changed how I approach holidays and travel. No longer am I trying to think about what scenarios I might find myself in and trying to plan for what consoles to bring with me, only to never find enough time to get a console out of my bag to play, walk around with a console slightly uncomfortable in my pocket, or have a device too small to really enjoy. From now on, the RG28XX is my go-to and will always be part of my holiday pack-in. But it's extended beyond that. The RG28XX is literally with me everywhere I go now. Next to me at bed, in my pocket on the school run, even right in front of me right now while I write this script. The XX lineup has a lot of competition now with some absolutely stunning consoles like the RG35XX SP. The SP is such a charming console and a beautiful head nod to the original Game Boy Advance SP, a console I love to have and play. If you want to see how the Game Boy Advance SP performed over my week test, you can see that right here. But honestly, I think the RG28XX is my favourite XX console. The size, the design, the build quality, the power, the screen, it does everything just right.